welcome again to a new episode of the kewcast. I'm John, and I'm joined once again, last time this year, by my good pal Eddie. How are you doing, buddy?
Ho, ho, ho.
I recall seeing this Santa hat last year.
A good memory for hats, John.
Like a steel tank up here.
Right on. It's that time of year. Where's yours?
I don't have a Santa hat.
I'm feeling it this year.
I have my head is too big to fit into the ones that my kids wear, but yeah, next year maybe.
I have a pinhead, I guess.
No, it's a normal size head.
Episode 90, John.
Noggin.
Good way to end the year.
90, indeed. We are sneaking up on 100. Another 3 weeks.
Break out the
like my math
champagne.
there. 3 weeks.
Another 3 weeks for 10 episodes?
Yeah.
I was trying to let that one go, but...
I've got a little bit of something going on in the head. I think you're sounding a little nasally too. We are in Colorado and it's like 80 degrees today.
Yeah, I think the local vegetation thinks it's spring.
I think so too. Good times. Well, Eddie, we do have a good show today.
We do indeed.
We're going to talk about some latest news, gear gossip, as always. We're going to do our own paddle awards. I'm going to have a separate video coming out for the end of year paddle awards, but you and I are going to discuss what our choices are, which paddle companies won which award.
Too fun. One of my favorite episodes of the year.
This episode, I forgot to do food for thought previously. Fun facts. Did you grab one? No.
I'm not. Just working on the best of list.
Okay. Well, we'll skip that then and go to Q&A.
Sounds good.
All right, Eddie. So let's jump into latest news, gear gossip. This new Carbon filing a patent infringement lawsuit against Vatic pros all over the news, and I'm sure most of our paddle enthusiast listeners and viewers are very familiar with this, but I'd be remiss if I did not include it in this week's podcast. So just FYI, Carbon did file a patent infringement against Vatic. I did see that, I think it was the Dink had some scoop, some tea on this in terms of different sides of the story from both Vatic and Carbon. Apparently Carbon went to Vatic early before they filed the lawsuit and said, hey, just FYI, you're infringing on our patent for this. And Vatic feels like they weren't. So they didn't make much of a statement, Vatic, but they're apparently going to go to court over this. So the whole story behind this is that Carbon came out with a True Foam Genesis paddle in January of 2025. Feels like 2 years ago now.
Oh, my goodness.
It was
Almost
this
a full year.
Yeah. And that was the first kind of real performance-oriented full foam paddle. And they do have voids, like molded voids in the paddle. Circles and linear things going on to enhance dwell. And they patented that in that patent.
Aren't they actual cutouts in the Carbon?
No, it's voids.
Is it? Okay.
Molded voids, yeah. And the foam, you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what they told me originally. I don't know if they changed that, but it is molded. Regardless, their patent is, they had patented those voids and basically any kind of EPP paddle, which extends all the way to the edge of the paddle. What seems to be possibly a loophole in the patent are the floating cores with EPP in the center and EVA on the outside, but also any kind of holes. And Vatic and others, I think Ehance has also done this. To avoid that patent, they put voids, they put basically divots in their paddle, which didn't go all the way through. So imagine like they dug into on each side of the paddle to make like
That's kind of what I was referring to in that the Carbon, you can see right through the foam core, whereas the Vatic, as you said, they're just kind of shelled out.
Yeah, and they don't go all the way through. Right. I think people were doing that intentionally to avoid the patent. See. And it's done, I haven't read through the entire patent, but it's pretty dense. But what I did read, it did seem that was kind of a loophole, but apparently not. So, or at least Carbon thinks not. We'll see what happens in court, but that is ongoing. So we'll see if any other paddle companies are hit with some paperwork from Carbon, but spicy things in the air at the end of the year.
So would not apply to some of the more multi-density, arrangements that we've seen in foam cores lately, where you've got edge foam and then a layer of foam inside of that's sometimes an inch thick, and then the floating core inside.
Yeah, I don't know yet at this point, but like the Ehance, we'll talk about the Ehance today actually. It has that EPP center, and they've kind of carved out on both sides the EVA foam to just kind of sit there like a sandwich, like a 3-layer sandwich on the edges. But the EPP does go all the way to the edge there. So that, unknowingly might be violating the carbon patent. I don't know. But yeah, I think with EVA on the outside, it's going to be definitely harder for carbon to go after those builds than it is the ones that do expand all the way to the edge. We'll see. We'll see where this goes. I'm just reporting news here. I don't have any kind of hard feelings on either side. So I'll leave it at that.
All right.
All right. Some corrections here. So when we talked about the Spartus P1, is that the name of the paddle?
Permagrit?
Yeah, I forget the name of the paddle. I think it's P1,
right.
But they're Permagrit. I was talking about the Permagrit like it was a peel ply with embedded, infused texture particles, and that's not actually what's going on. So thank you, Josh, for sending an email to correct me. It's not using an epoxy-based peel ply. It is made of ceramic hybrids. This is from Josh, the owner of Spartus. He said it's made from ceramic hybrids and does not have epoxy resin in it. He said, and as a corollary, does not have particles mixed into resin like the 6.0 grit. So it's coming at this grit a different direction than his 6.0. So just wanted to update people on that.
I'm confused. How is it then affixed to the paddle face itself then?
That is trade secret, I suppose. I didn't get that information, but yeah, it seems like somehow there has to be some kind of bonding agent to get the particles to stick to both the face and to stick to each other. Don't know. Yeah, it does look very different under a microscope. It's just grit. It looks more like the Infinigrit than it does the 6.0 Diamond Tough grit. If you look at the Diamond Tough grit, it's got that peel ply cloth looking pattern, and you can see the grit particles in there.
Right.
This is just a bunch of grit particles. The Spartus is just a bunch of grit particles sitting on top of one another, bound with some mysterious agent.
Yes. Gorilla glue.
Right. All right, another correction. I goofed up on the GRUVN paddles we talked about 2-3 weeks ago now. I switched the builds of each. So apparently the Laser 16X is the full foam floating core, not the tri-layer. I called that the tri-layer. And the Movin 16 HD is the tri-layer. So it has some kind of white foam in the interior and then 2 layers of EPP foam on the exterior of that. I wonder if that's going to violate the carbon patent because there is EPP going all the way to the edge if you don't count the edge foam. So just, that makes more sense now that I know the feeling of this. This was not our favorite.
I was just going to say that explanation actually holds true with my recollection of how these two paddles hit.
Yeah. This one we both described as feeling kind of Gen 1-ish, not the best sweet spot, and this one did feel better. You liked it better than I did. Yeah, but it did feel more like a floating core, traditional 100%. EPP with EVA band around it. So, my bad, correcting the record here. As we do at the end of the year. All right, couple more news bits here. So, the Dink Awards nominations are up, which nomination phase right now. So, they're not presenting, these are the podcasts to vote on, and these are the paddle reviewers to vote on. They're asking you to fill in the blank for you, what your favorite ones are, to be nominated. And then the second stage of that is picking the nominees. You know what I mean? So I'll put the link up in the description. You can go vote for ours or whoever you want if you want to. And there's several categories.
I was going to say, which category would people be thinking of us? Content creator or podcast?
I should have had there's definitely a podcast.
Right.
Category. There is a content creator. There's like a voice of pickleball, which I think I voted Dave Fleming in for that because he's like.
I think there's a reviewer category as well.
Okay, paddle reviewer.
Right.
And they're doing paddles this year too. And I may be like doing the announcing for them to announce their.
I saw your face on the website.
Okay. Saw an ugly mug shot of Mr. Kew on there. I'm in contact with Thomas right now because I've got all the time in the world. Why not take on one more thing?
Like the ESPYs of pickleball.
Right. I tried to bring on Chris Olson. He's like, man, I don't have time. It's at the holidays. I'm like, you know what? I've got time. And now, of course, I do not. But I'm glad that they reached out to do it, and it should be a lot of fun. So, go check out those nominations and nominate, give us some love. See if we can get an award this year. All right, one more news piece. So 6-0 and I and us will be doing a New Year giveaway, and this will be done similar to remember the Gearbox GX2 Power giveaway? This is going to be done through Instagram, very similar methodology to that. So they will choose 3 winners. So basically they're giving away one of each of their paddles of all the new gym paddles. So 1 black opal, and each of these comes with the 6-0 paddle hard case. I've never seen the hard case. Yeah, interesting. You can go take a look at that. So the black opal, the coral, and the ruby pro. 1 to each person, not all 3 to one person. So 3 lucky winners. How to enter, you go follow 6-0 Pickleball and follow Johnkew Pickleball on Instagram. Then you tag 2 friends in the comments, and in the comment, you write Happy New Year. I think 6-0 started the thread, and you reply to that and tag your friends in. I'll put a link in the description to make things a little more clearer. All right, contest dates start December 23rd, which will probably be like a day before this podcast will be published. And they go through January 1st, and winners, three winners will be randomly selected and announced via social media on January 1st.
Okay.
On the new year. So go sign up if you're interested in any of the new 6-0 offerings.
I'm interested, John.
Go sign up. Do you have more than one email account? You could probably get two entries there.
I could make new email accounts. Many of them.
Good stuff. All right, Eddie. Let's move into the meat and potatoes.
Yes.
We don't have, let's do paddles of the week first. That is our meat and potatoes.
Right.
We'll move on to the paddle awards after that.
Sounds good.
This week we are discussing, I've got year on the mind. I've made that mistake twice already. So Ehance Duo Onk has made a wide body.
You see Onk too, right?
I can't unsee it now. Once you told me that, I'm just like, that's all I can see. So here we go for our Duo Onk. Duo Onk. All right, you'll never unsee Onk again. It's just called the Onk now. And then we got the new Volair paddles. And these are called the Swifts, and I don't have this is the elongated and the hybrid. The wide body is also floating around out there, but these 2 will suffice. So let's actually talk about the Volairs first.
All right.
I did not get the launch date, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be happening in January. And these are the ones that a few of us paddle reviewers hit at an event in Worlds in Dallas while we were there in November. And full disclosure, I did kind of run some tests on these for Volair and gave them some initial feedback on the playability of these prototypes before they hit the market, which, running tests means running Q-core tests, and then before they submitted those to USAP, kind of giving some feedback on these. I liked them back then, and I like them now. Let's talk about the technology, and then I'll ask you, and we'll talk about our impressions of these on court. So these are full foam floating core paddles. I don't have the X-ray myself, but I think some are floating around. I'll either get these X-rayed before the show goes up, or I'll borrow somebody else's. But this kind of design you see on the graphics on the face is actually the same design that's going on in the core underneath. So it is a EPP core, and it's molded instead of CNC cut. And what they're doing is, actually, let me go grab the prop here. Picture's worth 1,000 words. All right. So this is what the core looks like on the inside. So it's black EPP, and you can see it's kind of cut out so that EVA foam can go around it. And this goes, as far as I know, it goes directly down into the handle, so you're getting that connection to the EPP foam. If I'm wrong about that, I'll post a comment about it. But it's 14 millimeters, so this is what the foam looks like. You can see it's flat on both sides, but when you open it up, I feel like a magician right now. Ooh, look at that. Oh. So there are some grooves cut into the center of it. And I like this whole concept of, kind of splitting it, putting the grooves on the inside, because that's resulting in is the flat surface of the EPP abutting your face layup, so that you're not running into all the issues we're curious about with voids going through the paddle face, are they, if you hit on the void, is it producing a different response? Well, no, this is just a flat surface, but the voids in the center are built to enhance dwell.
And are those 2 layers then bonded together?
They're bonded together. That's, could be an issue, right? Is this going to be susceptible to disbonding? I imagine that they did a lot of R&D on this and have figured out an epoxy bonding agent that really binds these together. And honestly, I've never been a fan of like the tri-layer cores where they're combining different materials, especially honeycomb materials, because binding those together is really difficult because you can't line up the honeycomb ridges together. And those do have paddles like, everybody who's tried this in the past has had issues with disbonding. This, however, there's plenty of room and surface area touching each other to glue these together. They're not different materials. They're the same material. And clearly, if you're not experiencing disbonding between the face layup and the EPP, we shouldn't expect any disbonding between 2 layers of EPP also, right? So anyway, something to look out for. But cool technology. And they have a couple of new shapes. So they're hybrid shape and they're newer elongated shape. They used to have, kind of that arrow curve top, which was technically might have been a hybrid. It might have been just under 16.5, like the Mach 1 Forza shape, you know what I mean? And then they had the Mach 2 wide body shape. Right. Well, this is the new elongated shape. This is the brand new hybrid shape, and then their wide body is still.
I like that shape.
Dude, this is a really good shape. So let's talk about how they play. So clearly neither one of us hit the elongated. Nope. Still got plastic on the handle, but I have hit the wide body. It's in my bag, and I hit this. We both did the same. You put a little perimeter weighting, which I think is.
Is that mine or yours? Maybe it's mine.
Yeah, not sure. But I feel like it's much needed on these. These are 14 millimeter, but go ahead, Eddie, what do you think?
I think they play fantastically, John. They've got a nice buttery feel, I guess, on the plush side, I would say. With the 14, it feels a little thin on hard strikes, but generally speaking, I think this is a very playable paddle.
Yeah.
Feels really good.
Same.
The power, I would call it maybe high all court. Nothing crazy on the power side, but you're gaining a lot of dwell and control with that trade-off.
Okay. Yeah.
Are they coming out with a 16?
Not that I know of. I think it's just 14. Yeah, so that's the... Did you have any commentary on the hybrid versus the wide body?
They both play really well. I feel like the sweet spot on the wide body is maybe a little bit wider. In terms of the sweet spot height, I would call them fairly similar.
Yeah.
But both are very playable.
Gotcha. Yeah, I dig these too. I think they're going to be popular paddles. They do have a denser feel. I call it denser rather than hollow. You know, if you're comparing it to like a Yola Pro 4, this feels denser. Even to like a Luz Inferno, this feels denser.
And way more dense.
Yeah. And the Luz Inferno is hollow but soft. This is dense and soft. So a different feel there. Yeah, I agree. I'd put the firepower a little higher. I'd put it at the lower end of the high power category, close to that boundary with all court though. It's not going to overwhelm anybody, but there's enough juice there to be intentional with offense. I like the ball response off of it a lot. It feels, I think I understand what you're saying when you say buttery on this, because that's kind of the impression I get too. I love this hybrid shape. Like it almost looks like a wide body, and I haven't done the measurements, but I imagine it's closer to 16 inches than it is 16.5 and closer to 8 inches wide than it is to 7.5. You know what I mean? So close to a wide body.
More handle length than your typical hybrid shape.
More handle length and, the steep taper on the cheeks, and I used to love the fat handles, Eddie. Not anymore. Every time I pick up, this has got to be no more than 4.125 inches, 4 1/8 inch, probably a little less. And I just love how it fits in the hand. It just feels more maneuverable that way. And the sweet spot on this feels like a wide body, but you're getting a little bit of more leverage, outside of the wide body realm. So I would definitely choose this. I haven't hit I did hit with the elongated at the event, but I can't see liking that any more than I'm liking this hybrid shape.
What was it about the elongated that you didn't even give it a try this time around?
Oh, I just didn't have time.
Okay.
And because I did play with it in Dallas.
I see.
It played great too. I think this newly designed one is way, way better than their previous one. And I think this will be who knows, this will probably be the most popular of the three options.
I don't know. I think that hybrid's going to do it.
Yeah, but my goodness,
you don't lose
kudos,
a lot. Right?
Shout out to Justin. He's the one who worked with Volair on these and developed these shapes, and he's a master in his craft. That Justin.
Might be my new favorite hybrid shape.
Yeah, the shape alone is well worth it. I will say that the one drawback, if I had to pick one, or kind of the one ding on these, is it's not even so much a ding either, but if you listen to the sound when you hit it, it's a pretty loud, pingy sound not pingy, but it's a loud kind of foamy sound when you hit dead center on it. And then when you hit off center, it's very muted sound-wise. Muted is a difficult word in the reviewer space because sometimes it means like low power and other times. I'm speaking strictly in terms of auditory response. You don't hear the ball hit as much, and even more so than other paddles. Clearly, when you hit off center, you get a different auditory response on all paddles, but this one is more profound, I'd say, because it's loud when you hit it in the center, and then it's almost imperceptibly, low in volume when you hit off center.
I did not pick that up.
Yeah, and I think it's at least partly, maybe all mental, but that auditory response off center made me feel like it wasn't delivering as much rebound velocity off center. Now there is a bit of a 14 millimeter feel on these. I definitely feel like they're improved with perimeter weighting. You're feeling the twisting when you're hitting off center without perimeter weighting, but there's plenty of room on these plenty of room weight wise to add perimeter weighting, and I think it does help a lot. But even with the perimeter weighting, today I was hitting with these two paddles, and I was like, off center shots feel a little bit. I wouldn't call it unforgiving, but less forgiving than some of the elite sweet spot paddles like the Boomstick and the JFK, J2NF and J6NF. You know what I mean?
I wonder if those channels have an acoustic effect that you're picking up in the
maybe
auditory nature.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's see. Imagine when you're hitting like that center block here, it's kind of focusing the sound there, and when you hit off center, it might be dispersing the sound. That's my highly scientific take on this.
I like it.
But really good initial impressions of these paddles. I also love how they're unique in terms of their looks. Like, you're not going to find a paddle that looks like this anywhere outside.
Two-sided colorway.
Yeah, and the brightness, and it's just, they look great. They look unique. They stand out on the court, and I like what they're doing with this. They definitely fixed up Dylan's signature. They gave me a trading card with Dylan's signature, and it's like he's never written in cursive in his life. It's worse than my signature, and mine's really bad.
Well,
but
they don't learn cursive in schools anymore.
That's right.
It's definitely showing.
It's a good stuff from Volair. Anything else on that, Eddie?
No.
And Ehance has a new shape, a wide body shape on the Duo, and I'll just say I'm a big fan.
I like this one much more than the other one.
Same. Yeah. All the issues now, they originally sent us one of the original Duo Onks, and I gave it kind of a lukewarm response based on initial impressions. I felt like, it felt good, but it felt similar to like a carbon true foam Genesis to me in that sense of good. So not the best sweet spot. However, they sent another one, and the first one we had turns out it was probably, a dud, which happens, in initial runs. The second one played way better. I still wouldn't say that the sweet spot was as big as some of the best sweet spots on the market. However, in this shape, I'm loving it. I could main this paddle. It feels great. It is a denser feel, which I'm not as keen of these days personally. I think a lot of people connect to a denser feeling paddle. It's not as hollow feeling as like my Boomstick by any means, or even like the Bread and Butter Loco, stuff like that. But the elite property of this is its spin potential and shaping the ball potential. I mean, my God, if you trust your stroke and the spin it generates, you can just rip drives, and it's got some heat too. And the drives will dip like crazy. Like
it does have good spin. I feel like the sweet spot on this thing is really generous, and it's even. Like you don't get a lot of hot spots. You don't get any hot spots that I could tell. Just a very balanced paddle. This is my favorite from Ehance so far.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Good job, Ehance.
Those sliders on there.
Yeah, are these 5 gram sliders?
5 gram sliders, yeah. I had them a little higher early on. It's just slowing me down too much, but that location is really working for me.
This twist weight must be edging up to 8, maybe even above 8. But
I would guess so.
But another great paddle shape. This wide body, and the same way that the hybrid of the Volair feels like it has all the perks of a wide body, but also a little more because you get more leverage. It's a little longer.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was wanting more length on this. It had all the perks of a wide body and some of the perks of a hybrid too. I don't know what the dimensions are on this, but I wasn't shanking any balls off the top.
I was going to say the same thing, John. It almost feels like a wide hybrid.
Yeah, right. So 2 exceptional shapes out of the 2 paddle brands that we covered today. So pretty stoked on this one. I think this one's going to be a hit.
Loving the onk.
Loving the onk. All righty.
Get my sliders back. Those things are pricey.
Yes, indeed. All right. Paddle Awards 2025.
Oh, yeah.
So my video, the official award video, will be out before this. So most of you listening, if you've seen that already, you're going to know my picks, but I'll be curious to hear your picks. I gave you the same categories.
Maybe I can get you to change your mind.
Okay. I'm going to go back and re-edit the video.
There you go.
And you threw in a couple of extra, 1 paddle accessory, 1 training accessory.
Yeah.
We're still doing those?
Just for kicks.
Good stuff. Let's start at the bottom of the list. That's
a good idea.
And we'll go straight up to the top. So the top will be the paddle of the year. And then we'll get into your paddle accessory and training accessories.
Okay, perfect.
That. So on my bottom, I rearranged some things, but let's talk about the best value paddle first. Give the people what they want. What is the best?
I have a feeling we are in complete alignment here, John.
I think every reviewer in the space is going to pick one of these 2 paddles.
Not a big surprise.
Yeah. What's your pick, Eddie?
So I have a runner-up, and that is the Rhombus Quanta.
Yep.
But my winner of the best value for 2025 is the Vatic VSole Pro.
Exactly. Same as mine.
Discount code $90, something around there, $100 maybe.
$100, yeah.
You cannot beat it. And I've sold so many of these paddles for Vatic.
Yeah. You're not an ambassador, just FYI, if you're listening.
You get one person to buy it, they tell 2 friends, and they tell 2 friends, and pretty soon everyone's got the Vatic, and they all love it.
Word of mouth, yeah. Yeah, it hits just as well as, and maybe even better for some people, than paddles that are twice or even 3 times the amount. Do you have a favorite shape?
I like the long handle flash. It's a little bit more dense feeling than the bloom shape. I've been playing the bloom a little bit lately, but it's definitely on the more hollow poppy side.
Yeah, which is interesting. I've noticed some variability among the shapes and even within the shape too, in terms of that feel. So like you said, some of them are hollower and stiffer feeling, and others have a denser, plusher feel. And to me, not the long handle, but the regular handle, standard handle flash is the hollowest and poppiest of them all. And I agree with you on the bloom. We hit the same one on that one. And it's a hollower and poppier feel. And some of the others, they're not as dense and plush as the Power Series. Power Series is much denser overall.
Okay.
But I'm noticing some variability. Yeah. But I would say the flash long handle would be my choice also, or maybe the Saga, the wide body. It's just a great wide body paddle. And I think it suits this particular paddle very well. So these are full foam floating core, EPP in the center, EVA band around it. And these are not the ones that are involved in the lawsuit. It's the power versions. So you can't really get any better value. No. I will say my runner-up is also the Rhombus Quanta, but if you want a little bit more firepower and a more stiffer feel, that might actually be your pick over the VSole Pro. I think, Rhombus put out a fantastic paddle. It's also exactly $100 after code. Same price on these, and both of them play phenomenal.
Okay, we're 1 for 1 in agreement, John.
Okay, next award goes to Best Paddle Innovation. Let's go first. Let's let you go first.
All right. My choice is full foam.
Okay.
And actually, the intro to this show, I think, is a good start for this particular award because I chose the carbon as really the entree into this full foam marketplace. There were probably others who were dabbling in it, but in terms of mass market, tournament ready, full foam paddles, I believe the carbon was the first. And if you said January 2025, it's hard to believe it's been a year, but that really says something about how far we've come in 1 year from kind of one piece single foam construction now to layered foam and notched foam and all these other really interesting construction techniques. But really, I have to give it to carbon for kind of kicking this off. And to some degree, the Selkirk 008, which followed kind of shortly thereafter as another offering in that area.
Yeah, I like that you went with carbon on that because I do think that paved the way. All their R&D that they did to release the first real performative full foam paddle opened the doors for where we are today. We wouldn't be where we are today if they didn't do that. So,
how many iterations did they have of that in prototyping?
Over 18 months.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of work on their part, and they did a great job there. My best paddle innovation went to 6-0 for their Diamond Tough Grit, and there are other companies working on this, and you could also, argue for the Infringement from Boomstick from Selkirk. But this has been a, ongoing issue since the beginning of pickleball paddles is how do we get more durable spin, a more durable grit to produce that spin. And just the nature of our sport where we're hitting a hard plastic ball with a surface of a paddle that's also hard by regulation. You can't have too springy of a paddle. It fails deflection. Those two hard surfaces together are going to, impact the grit that generates the spin. So good to see 6-0 come up, and I'm doing this based on some, guessing that it is going to be more durable. We covered this last week. The Infringement does appear, based on my testing, to be quite a bit more durable than traditional peel ply. Remember, we compared the Boomstick to the Les Inferno. The Les Inferno lost, I think, 250, 300 RPM, which is typical for raw carbon fiber after 22 hours. And I've been playing 28 hours with the Boomstick, and it only lost like a negligible amount, 50 RPM or something crazy like that.
Any insights on the 6-0 since then?
No, and the reason why I haven't tested, actually we'll get into this and again in the Q&A because there are lots of questions about this, but the reason why I haven't done the same test with the Infringement yet is because the 6-0 kind of got caught up in some regulatory issues with the grit, and sometimes when USAP hears that a paddle is particularly gritty, they'll do kind of a secret shopper thing and then test it with the Starrett machine, and there is a limit based on actual peak to valley, microns in the Starrett test, and they failed, so that the original production models failed for the Ruby and the Opal, so they had to really dial that back. So we've got a bunch of different paddles from 6-0 with varying levels of grit, and I wanted things to settle down and finally get something that most people will be getting for production models before I run these tests. However, the concept is epoxy peel ply infused with industrial grade diamond grit, and to me, it sounds definitely like a plausible theory that it will be more durable because not only, so take a traditional peel ply, it's just epoxy shaped into the peel that you're pulling off, and that has a cloth-like texture on it when you look at it under a microscope, and immediately when you start playing with peel ply, the sharp peaks start chipping off. And sometimes, peel ply can last, 3, 4, 6 months, a year or so before somebody wants to change it. But the decline in spin is pretty noticeable, despite it being the best up to now option on the market for spin durability. However, the spin with the 6-0 diamond grit is once the diamond grit peels off or smooths out, you've got more surrounding that's going to expose itself as the epoxy wears down. So presumably you're going to have as much spin until you reach the very bottom of all the epoxy, which I've never really done yet on any kind of peel ply. So in theory, and I think it also, the grit itself is, to borrow a term from like ceramics and pottery, is like a temper. And that's why they put temper in pottery, which makes it more durable and less prone to breakage, right? And if you add some structural support in terms of these diamond grits inside the epoxy, I imagine it's like tempering pottery. It's just going to make it overall more durable as well. And that's just a hunch. So, best paddle innovation 2025, 6-0 Diamond Tough Grit.
All right.
And yeah, there are other people putting stuff out now, but I feel like 6-0 is one of the first to the market on this outside of Infringement.
What's our next category, John?
Quality Control Award, which is for durability and quality, which, I think this is kind of most people would consider this a boring category, but I think it's very important, and most people are now kind of keenly interested in, just for what we just talked about in grit durability, for example, and their paddles lasting longer than what they have in the past. So I'll jump in on this one first. I'm going to give this one to 11624 for their Power Series, which launched in January of this year. And it was the first kind of Gen 3 honeycomb polypropylene paddle to kind of solve the durability core crushing issues, largely solve it. Now, clearly, they've had very few returns, but some of them have crushed. It's just the nature of honeycomb polypropylene and thermoforming. It's going to happen. But their return rates, their breakage rates were far, far less than any other Gen 3 paddle on the market. By Gen 3, I mean floating honeycomb polypropylene with EVA band around it and thermoformed. So, that was my main 6-0 vapor power for, I want to say 6 months, the first half of the year, right? And I never had one that broke. My grit wore down after 3 months. I got that replaced, and I've seen very few in the wild that have ever been broken. And my runner-up for the quality control is PaddleTech. They've been quietly producing their Gen 1 durable paddles with elite firepower now for years. And, they had a big comeback in 2024 with their newer version of the Bantams that had a lot more firepower. And rarely do you hear of any breakage issues with PaddleTech.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't have a winner on this one, John. I was hoping you would come up with one because I don't have access to data on breakage or returns or warranty claims. All I have is, what I see in the wild and stories from friends and that kind of thing. There's definitely companies that come to mind. Holbrook, Honolulu, 6-0 all come to mind as being very sort of solidly made paddles. But again, I can't comment to the breakage numbers.
Okay.
I had 11624 on my list as well as one of those companies that just kind of exudes, a level of sophistication and quality.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But no, I don't have a winner on this one.
Okay. There's lots of runners up.
Yep, exactly.
All right, next award is the Core Science Award, which literally means paddle core. So the most interesting internal construction.
This is the Johnkew Award.
On a paddle. All right, Eddie, you're first.
I have a feeling we're onto the same model or company with this one. I don't have a runner-up, but my winner in the Core Science Award is the Gearbox GX2 Power SST Core. I think what they've done with the carbon ribs and having those kind of aligned the way they do inside that structure is so different than what anybody else is doing. Really, we live in a copycat world of pickleball paddles here. 99% of paddles are made the same way. Gearbox has done what they've done since the beginning of Gearbox. They've always gone their own way. And it has really paid off with the GX2 Power. Yeah.
This, as you expected, that's my pick too. So I gave this award to Gearbox specifically for their GX2 Power series. And yeah, their SST technology they've been doing for years now, and nobody else has really done it. I think, Element 6 tried a little bit with that, with their Surtur. The Surtur. And it played well, but you don't see a lot of copycats out there for Gearbox, and I think that speaks to kind of their innovation. And I wouldn't say that the SST core has always been good. Like the original Gearboxes with the SST core felt like boards. They were very unforgiving, but they were built like tanks, like they never broke, right? And even like the Power Series, those did break in, but they weren't the best. Ton of power when you hit that golf ball size sweet spot, and outside of that, big plummet. And those were definitely not forgiving paddles either. And around that time, I remember Rafa, the owner of Gearbox, saying, "Well, I can engineer these SST cores to play like any kind of paddle you want, massive sweet spot." Poppy,
do it.
You know, and I was obviously skeptical. I'm like, hey, I've heard this story before, but he made me shut my mouth this year because he produced 2 paddles that using the same SST core, modifying that SST core, and they played completely differently than anything before and from each other. So the original GX2, not the power one, played wildly different than anything before. It was super plush. No vibrations made it into your hand, which a lot of people complain, like, I don't know if I'm hitting a dink or an overhead smash. They feel the same. So people didn't like that. Some people didn't like that loss of connection they had with the ball. However, some people really did like it, and especially people with like tennis elbow and people who like that denser, plusher feel with no vibrations, gravitated toward that. And I was a little bit on the camp of, I thought it played really great and it was very unique, but I didn't feel as connected as I wanted to the ball. And this is during this period where I'm going to more like hollow and stiffer feel. And then they bust out the GX2 Power. Under a microscope, it looks very similar. There's a little bit more EVA around the exterior of it, but more or less the same looking core, same SST core, completely different ball response. Big sweet spot. Both of these had big sweet spots, but I'd say the GX2 Power even more. Hollow, soft feel. It's still a unique feeling paddle, but man, I loved it. And I mained that one for 4 months out of this year.
The sound was completely different between those two.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, the GX2 was a quiet approved paddle.
Right.
And the GX2 Power had that deep, thuddy.
Right.
Yeah. The thonk. So,
excellent
yes,
choice.
I think, Rafa's, being truthful when he says he can engineer the crap out of this to feel different. And I think he, the proof is in the pudding.
Can't wait to see what's next.
I don't have a runner-up for core science.
I do not either.
All right. Next is most influential paddle. I imagine we're on the same page here. I'll go first. We'll trade off back and forth. I mean, Yola Pro 4. I mean, nothing else really comes close in terms of influence. You can look, and it came out in January of this year too, and it was basically the 3S, but with some added quality control in terms of not compressing the core, which they then back engineered into the 3S, and also some new foam inserts in the neck. And if I just saw those foam inserts, I'd be like, that's not going to play any different. But it did. It qualitatively played quite different. And I remember like the feel of hitting those at the launch event in January in Las Vegas that some of us paddle reviewers went to. I was like, oh, these are really nice. Like a much improved sweet spot. It's got that kind of hollow, stiffer feel, good power, but controllable, and everything about this I like. So I get the buzz surrounding it. But I mean, the proof of concept here is just that look at how many copycats there are of this Yola paddle. Now, some of that is because nearly every pro is playing with a Yola Pro 4 or some version of a Yola, so a lot of people want kind of that buzz. But Yola's not even paying most of these pros to play with their paddles. The pros are wanting to play with these paddles, and they give them to them for free to play with, but it's not like they're under contract. So I feel like the Yola Pro 4 has just been the most influential paddle this year.
I didn't realize they weren't paying folks to play with their paddles.
Yeah, some of them are just doing it voluntarily. They like the paddles. Before we jump over to you, I do have a runner-up, which is the Carbon True Foam Genesis. For the same reasons you gave them, the paddle innovation of the year. They set the stage back in January for this full foam revolution that we've seen really blossom, and look where we are now. That had Carbon not done all this R&D, who knows if we would have ever had any of these amazing playing paddles that are on the market now.
Yep. Well, this is going to be easy, John, because just flip-flop what you said, and you're right where I am. So my runner-up was Yola, and my number one here was Carbon. I think their R&D to get to where they got with their launch was just something that I have never seen before in terms of number of iterations and their play testing and everything. Just incredible. And the response from the community was what really launched a whole generation of new paddles.
Yeah.
You know, had that paddle been a complete flop, now it's not the most, you know, amazing paddle by today's standards. I think there are better paddles out there. But in terms of what was happening at the time, just the response from the pickleball playing public was overwhelming, and that paved the way for everybody else.
Yeah, for sure. Well done, Yola and Carbon. All right, next category, best all-court / control paddle. Now, I did combine these because basically there were no control paddles, full control, like only control paddles released in 2025 as the arms race for power. But also when you look at where we've come this year and the enlargement of the sweet spot on paddles, I feel like definitely in the all-court category, you're getting just as much control, or 99% of the control that you're getting with control paddles, quote-unquote, low-power control paddles,
And
right?
plenty of power out of this this category as well.
For sure.
Assuming you've got some degree of, you know, technical prowess.
Yeah, if you can swing hard.
Exactly.
So, yeah, they are now one category, all-court / control.
All right.
Eddie, let's hear from you
I
first.
didn't look at the statistics on my two choices, but I don't think of them as overwhelmingly powerful, so you'll have to correct me if I'm in the wrong category here. But my runner-up was the 11.624 Vapor, whatever, Alpha Pro Power.
Alpha, the Alpha Pro Power, yeah.
Very well-balanced paddle. It definitely has a power element to it, but just the overall feel and consistency across the face on this paddle, just amazing for this paddle. My number one, however, was the Honolulu J2, and you could probably put the FC and the NF kind of together in one. They're just so close. They're very nuanced in terms of their differences.
Yeah.
If I had my money to put down, I would probably go with the FC, but honestly, if you blindfolded me, I'd have a really difficult time telling the difference between the two.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly the same as
Are you
my
serious?
picks. Yes. So I had the runner-up being 11.624 Alpha Pro Power, and the winner for best all-court / control, Honolulu NF / FC Plus.
We did not compare notes at all.
We did not. And some of you might be like, wait, weren't you calling the Honolulu NF at least the power paddle? Yes. When it came out, it was just barely power, just above that all-court line.
Sounds right.
However, I've with all the power paddles that came out this year, I've had to realign the boundary just slightly. I moved it up on my Q core to, I think it's 0.39 or something instead of 0.384. And that pushed the Honolulus, the NF and FC Plus, both just under that boundary. So we're, basically the same. It's not any different than it was in terms of how they play, but now I classify them as all court rather than power. So for all the reasons you said, the Alpha Pro Power from 11.624 plays great. It kind of flew under the radar this year because of all the buzz with the full foam paddles, but that thing with the large cell polypropylene and putting the fiberglass on the bottom layer instead of the middle layer, it just gave it a different feel. It's very much in the same family as the original Power series, but if there were criticisms of that Power series, originally it was the stiffness of them. Some people felt that they felt too stiff. However, it feels a lot more plush and more forgiving. I'd say the sweet spot's a little broader. I'd give it definitely less pop. Overall firepower might be a little less than the Vapor Power, but it's a great all-court paddle. And then the Honolulu NF, if you want a little bit more pop, FC Plus, if you like it a little softer. They speak for themselves. They're probably most people's number one paddle of the year this year.
Genius choices, John.
If I don't say so myself. All right, best power paddle. We're up to the second from the first here.
All right.
Best power paddle, Eddie. I'll go first on this one. You went on the last one. I'll start with the runner-up. Luz Inferno is my runner-up for best power paddle of the year. This one was, obviously, we've talked about the story of Luz several times. They came out of nowhere. I was really reluctant to even reply to their emails early in the year because they looked kind of spammy and their website wasn't great.
Still not great.
It's still not great. And I finally, one day I was like, all right, let's see what you got. And me and Lewis from Pickleball pursuit, did it at the same time, not planning this, but we actually reached out at the same time. We both got the Canon and the Inferno, and we were like, oh my God, these paddles play amazing. The Canon is a $92 power paddle that hits almost exactly like a YOLO Pro 4 at a fraction of the price. And the Inferno is not a cheap paddle. It's like $220 before code, and right around $200 with code. But the connection I had with hitting with that right from the start was just amazing. Like the feel you get from that MPP floating core is just...
That core is just magical.
Yeah, and the thonk you get, the auditory response, it is great. And yeah, it breaks in a little bit, but nothing outrageous. It does stabilize. I'd say it went from the middle of high power to the upper end, but still not like the Selkirk Boomstick. Probably close to the Bread and Butter Loco in terms of overall firepower, so nothing crazy, but love that paddle. And then my number one, my best power paddle of the year goes to the Selkirk Boomstick, which probably is no surprise to most people. That's the one I've been maining now for several weeks. I've fallen in love with kind of trusting that Infringement and the dwell on that paddle to really spin and shape the ball. And the hollow, stiff response. Like every time I hit with another feel profile on paddles, I always want to get back to that stiffer, hollower feel. I feel so connected to the ball. The ball, I know from the feedback I'm getting what to expect. If I miss hit it, I know it's going long. If I do it just right, it's going in. There's no question. Like the feedback it gives you is just so precise. So that is my number one this year. And then the caveats there's having durability issues. The MOI weights are causing the edge guards to come loose, and there's lateral cracking along the face of the paddle. But silver lining on that is that the customer service on Selkirk is second to none, and you can actually fill out that warranty form in a few minutes, and they will send you a new paddle while you're still playing with your old one in a self-addressed paid envelope to send it back. So good stuff.
No surprise there, John. You've been maining that one for 3 or 4 months now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going there. I'm going with the Bread and Butter Loco.
For the best power paddle?
That's my best power paddle.
I like that.
I don't know. This paddle is, sometimes with a power paddle, you give up something to get the power. And with the Loco, there are no sacrifices. You've got plenty of control. You can reset with this paddle with the best of them, provided you have some, nuanced technique in terms of, how you hold the paddle, how stiffly you hold the paddle. Yeah. But man, you can do so much with this paddle, and it rips drives with some nutty spin.
Yeah.
And the spin is redonkulous on this paddle. And it's held up well over the course of my time with it. I've been playing with the wide body, but the hybrid is just as good.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
Do you have a runner-up?
Oh, it was the Luz.
Oh, yours was the Inferno also. Okay.
Right.
We are in agreement once again.
Yes.
Good stuff, Eddie. All right. Paddle of the year. All comes down... It all comes down to this. Eddie, what is your pick for paddle of the year?
Well, John, I'm enamored by buttery feeling paddles, right? And, what's buttery? It's really kind of subjective. But, if you think about your paddle feel map, if you got stiff and soft at one axis and dense and hollow, buttery is kind of like right at the juncture of those quadrants.
At the intersection of all the quadrants.
Exactly. A little bit like leaning on the soft side,
okay,
I would say. But I love that feel of just that butteriness.
Okay.
There's some plushness to it, I think, but that's kind of how I'm defining it. I first used this term when I was talking about the body helix flick. That paddle is so good. If that paddle was more controllable, it might be on my list as paddle of the year. And they never had it in that standard wide body shape that I really liked, and that was another shortcoming of that particular execution of foam technology.
Yeah.
But there is a paddle out there with just lovely buttery feel. That is, in my mind, it's unmatched today. It's got enough power. It's not crazy power. It's really an all-court paddle. Incredible forgiveness, massive sweet spot, great spin. And my choice for the paddle of the year and the winner of the first, I can't believe it's not butter, trophy, is the 6-0 coral.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah,
I did not see that
kinda
coming.
in the shadows of its big brother, the opal. But man, this paddle ticks all the boxes.
This is cracking me up. I can't believe you made a trophy. You even glued the butter on top.
This is it, baby.
Ooh, the blue is with the white
The
sliders.
blue wide body with the
Dang.
white slice sliders.
That is a pretty paddle.
That thing is nice.
Honestly, the looks of that doesn't get much better. Something about that color of blue is just like, geez,
so
I've never
nice.
seen that on a paddle before.
And with some additional white, it just pops.
Man, Eddie, big surprise.
The 6-air coral. What were you thinking I was going to pick?
I had no idea where you're going with that. Like, I'm thinking of like, originally I thought the Body Helix, and I'm like, he's not going to choose that for the paddle of the year. But I was trying to think of all the other paddles you've called buttery, and I couldn't think of one like that you would pick out of those. So yeah, good to see.
I love it.
Good to see 6-0 up there. All right, my paddle of the year is a Bread and Butter Loco.
Hey,
Yeah.
an excellent choice.
Yeah, and part of this, so it wasn't just kind of my feelings or my perception of it, as well as the performance metrics. This wasn't a completely objective thing. I also had to look at the X factor of how have the paddle enthusiast community adopted this paddle, and this is they've sold out every single one of their pre-sales within a day, sometimes within minutes. And it's been in such high demand. You're seeing them more and more across the courts and hands of people that aren't necessarily paddle enthusiasts. It really was a home run for Bread and Butter. And that was Bread and Butter has always been fantastic and loved their humorous tongue-in-cheek approach to pickleball and building their paddles and their marketing approach. It all looks great and good concepts and the hot sauce and all of that. And Doug, and he's just fantastic people. But they never really had like an ultimate performance paddle. And then the Loco changed all that, right? It came out and it just played great. It fell in that sweet spot in terms of the firepower map. It wasn't as powerful as the boomstick or the opal. But it was just a tick below that. So really lots of firepower, but more accessible to the public, And the sweet spot on these is way oversized. It rivals the boomstick as, the biggest sweet spot on the market. You do have to kind of like that fiberglass springiness, the feel of the the feel of the Loco is a bit. It splits people. Like some people think it feels super soft. I feel like it feels a little stiff. It's stiffer and hollower to me. And I think what's speaking to me is that fiberglass layer in the center. It's a CFC layup. And I'm feeling that fiberglass and it feels stiffer to me. And there's definitely a springiness to it. But I still like the feel of it. But you do kind of have to like that fiberglass feel to really connect to the Loco. Nevertheless, the numbers speak. I actually ran a poll on the newsletter, and with over 300 responses, the Loco won out by narrow margins. This was multiple choice, but I put like 12 paddles on there, all the hottest paddles, and it won out in very narrow margins over the Honolulu NF/FC Plus, so, which is big. Like that Honolulu killed it last year with their JFK, and this year they've killed it with and first to introduce the full foam floating cores. So for a Loco to beat them in a poll from our listeners is pretty big. So for all those reasons, Bread and Butter, paddle of the year, buddy.
An excellent choice. I definitely have to put that as my runner-up. Every time I've pulled that thing out on the court and let people try it, they're asking for your code. It's so easy.
Yeah.
If I wanted to sell paddles,
Yeah.
I'd be making a ton of money just on that one.
Yeah. The looks on those are good too. Nothing crazy, but it's like a tan.
Is that the one you prefer over the black and white?
I do. How about you?
It looks great.
Yeah. I like the tan one.
Yeah. Sometimes the marketing leads you to believe that it's not going to be a top performing paddle. You sacrificing something maybe by buying something that's so gitchy and cute. But man, this thing just kills it.
Yeah. Good stuff. Congratulations to all of the paddle companies, manufacturers, their teams who, I feel like 2025 has been just a fantastic year for us as paddle enthusiasts and all of the people that listen to us and paddle enthusiasts themselves. It's just, we've seen such an evolution of the technology in paddles this year when now we're having like crazy power and a big sweet spot together.
That
wasn't a thing in 2024, right?
It was definitely harder to come up with my list this year than
Yeah.
it was last year, just because the word high performance can't be overstated.
Yeah.
All these paddles are amazing performers. It's really just subtle degrees of differences that make one different than the other. Not necessarily better, but it just resonates for certain people.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Eddie, I've got a couple more categories here. So paddle accessory. Let's hear your favorite paddle accessory.
I'm loving my Titan 1 ball machine. Spending probably more time with that than I am with any one particular person on the pickleball court these days. It's just so versatile. The quality is there. It's like when you turn the key on a high-performance sports car, it's going to perform. It's the same thing with this thing. You do turn the button on, and it makes these noises, and you hear the wheels turning, and it's going to perform, and it does.
All right.
The app is easy to use. It's amazingly functional. You can do whatever drills you want, customize them. If you're the type of person who's just grooving one shot and you don't want to move around, it'll do that.
Yeah.
If you want to bust your butt and move all over the court, it'll do that too. So
Gotcha.
for me, the training accessory of the year is the Titan 1.
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking paddle accessory. So training accessory is your Titan ball machine. I'll do my training accessory too. I have not tried the Titan, although you give it raving reviews, and I trust that it is better than my 3-4-year-old Lobster. Lobster's improved also. They have fancy new machines, but yes, those are great training accessories. But I'm going to go a little, lower brow here.
Okay.
For people who don't want to spend thousands of dollars. The Dink Master surprised me. I ordered one myself, just paid for it myself, didn't tell the guys at Ehance that I wanted one or anything, because I wanted to have something here in the laboratory where I could kind of test paddles as I'm doing swing weight, twist weight, and stuff. And I just fallen in love with that thing. It seems a little kitschy, like you see the videos and it's like, okay, you can do that on a wall, right?
Right.
But this does have a true bounce. It's actually honeycomb, aluminum honeycomb in the interior, and I don't know what they're putting on the surfaces, but one side is like a power surface and the other is the Dink surface, and they do have a little bit different response, but I love the response of that. And I use this to, like, as soon as I get a paddle in, it's just like I go over and just do a few dinks and do a few speed ups and stuff, and it just performs well. And even for $300, I think is what it costs. And I don't have a code for this. I do for Enhance, but for their paddles only. So I'm not trying to get any money here, but definitely the Dink Master is a solid training tool.
It is a great choice, John. I'm glad you brought that up. Whenever I come here and we're putzing around or I'm waiting for you to finish up something with a paddle test, I'm on your Dink Master, having a good time with it.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, well, I got a ping pong table at home. I'll just set that up and I'll just do the same thing because it's fun. It's not the same.
It really shoots the ball out at you.
It does.
Yeah.
In a very controlled, predictable way. And it's if it were bigger, I'd be all over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
My accuracy is not as good as yours.
No, I mean, it's helped in hand battles for sure. Because what I do with it is just like work on fast hands. That's normally what I gravitate to. I'll do a few dinks, and for dinks it's a little small, but man, just the fast hands and working on going side to side and stuff, and it really has improved my hands.
Great choice. I love it.
All right, do you have a paddle accessory?
I think you probably know because it's on every single paddle here.
now that you show me your coral with the white. Dang. But that was my pick too. The slice sliders is my paddle accessory. I don't know why
this hasn't been a thing for 3 years.
Yeah.
Or more.
And kudos to, maybe we should have, let's give props to Selkirk for inventing the MOI system that this is based off of. That's a technological innovation for sure.
It is.
And these just work wonders on paddles.
Before Selkirk, everybody knew about perimeter weighting, right? But they never thought about it really in that concentrated way.
Yeah.
Right. We were all trying to distribute weight, across the face.
Yeah.
Or across the edge guard. A lot of us were. I was.
Yeah.
Not thinking that, boy, a really concentrated weight could have even more stabilizing impacts.
Yeah.
It works.
Yep.
And these sliders, man, I use them. I just wish they were easier than 4 screws. Because, man, when I'm on the court, I just want to flip something and move it around and flip it back.
Yeah, true.
But for what it is, it's an amazing product.
Dig it. We're in agreement.
All right.
Well done, Slice. All right, let's wrap up here with a few questions in the Q&A segment.
Yeah. You got them this week.
Oh, that's
John.
right. All right, so I'll read them. We'll both answer them. This one is from Aloran323. He or she writes, one thing I'm interested in is seeing what are the typical swing weight ranges you recommend for each paddle shape. So I think he was replying to one of the segments we did where we took the top 5 in our leaderboard and talked about our favorite shapes in those. So he's saying, what kind of swing weight range do you like? I think this is a smart question. I'll let you go first, Eddie.
Well, what shape would you want to start with?
Let's go elongated down to wide body.
Elongated. I have a little bit of swing weight tolerance. You know, if I had to choose between a very specific swing weight and more performance, I'm going to choose the performance. But all other things being equal, I'm comfortable around 120 to 122 for an elongated paddle.
Yeah.
But if there's an outstanding performer out there, a huge sweet spot, just does everything right, then I'm willing to swing a couple of points in either direction.
What's your preferred range? So it just sounds like 122, 123 is your max. Do you have?
I would say past 122, and I'm pushing it in terms of like being able to maintain hand speed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for me, elongated, my range is typically 118 to 121 is what I like. I can go up to 122, 123 also and still be okay with it. But when I go back, if I'm playing a 122 swing weight paddle, I get used to it. I'm like, yeah, it's just the same. And I go back to something that swings at 116 or something. I'm like, oh, I'm so much faster with this. I like this a lot more. I will say that the Selkirk Boomstick, the last one I had was a 115 swing weight for the elongated. And that's part of the reason why I loved that paddle so much. The new one, I just replaced it. Remember, there was some cracking. They warranted it. The new one is like 122, 123 swing weight, so like 8-point jump there.
That's
so
significant.
It's significant. And I play with it today. It's very much the same paddle, but just a little slower in the hand. So that being said, you know, I kind of feel like for elongated, my typical range is 118 to 122, 121. By necessity, but if I can go lower than that and still get a big twist weight, I'm going for it. Like I love a 115 swing weight. It's 6.8 twist weight, elongated paddle. I mean, why not? Go as low as you can on the swing weight as long as the twist weight is up there.
Yeah. Even then, I would probably add some weight just to boost the twist weight even more.
Yeah.
I mean, 115 is so low for an elongated. If you got room to spare, just throw a little extra on there.
Yep, 100%. All right, hybrid shape. What's your range for hybrid?
I'm going to say 117 to 119.
Okay.
And then we may as well talk about the wide body as well. I'm comfortable in the 115 to 117 range. So the shorter the paddle, the lower the swing weight, starting from 115 up to 119, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, for hybrid, I'm going to do wide body, and then the hybrid will just be in between the two. So for a wide body, I actually like a lower swing weight. I prefer something down around 110 to 113.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and the reason is that it has such a big twist weight that when you sum those, the twist weight and the swing weight, a wide body that's a 121 swing weight is going to be a little bit harder to maneuver than a elongated with a 121 swing weight because the twist weight is so much more massive on the wide body. And I feel like part of the appeal of wide bodies is the hand speed. You know, they're inherently better hand speed because they're shorter and lighter, and less swing weight, but you're getting the twist weight benefits with those. So it's similar to how I want the elongated to be as low as possible with a good twist weight. It's kind of how I like the wide bodies too. Now there's diminishing returns when you get much below like 110 because you're not getting as much plow through. You're losing some power at the back end of the court, you know. But I love the sensation of getting out on the court with a paddle that I can control with a big old twist weight and just wicked fast hands. You know, it's just a lot of fun with wide bodies. And then the hybrid falls right in between there. I want my hybrid to be somewhere between like 113 and up to 118.
Okay, so we're pretty close except for the shorter wide bodies. You're down to 110 to 115. I'm a little bit higher, 115 to maybe 117.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if I can get my twist weight to 7 or above, then as light as I can get it in terms of swing weight to a point. And 110 is about as low as I like to go.
So what's your methodology, John? I've noticed with these sliders that you can play around with these a ton. And what I've been doing lately is kind of starting up here on the corners, knowing that it's probably going to result in slow hand speed.
Yeah.
But, that's my starting point, and I'll just creep these down until I feel like, I'm back to where I should be in terms of hand speed.
Yeah.
And this is probably not my final resting point. It'll probably be a little higher. I just was experimenting with this, but that's kind of my methodology with these sliders. They're so effective for that.
Are you doing it by feel then, or the graffiti?
By feel.
Okay. I do it with the graffiti. So I start up high, same as you, with the sliders. And if it gets, depending on the shape, let's say we're hybrid, if it's 121, I'm going to lower it until I get into that. Ideally, the sweet spot for me is like 116, 115 for the hybrid. And so I'm starting high and doing the.
You need to do
swing weight.
guess the swing weight.
Yeah. Oh, that feels good.
That's probably
spin
around
weight.
114,
Do you know
115.
this? Do you know the swing
don't
weight in
know.
this? That would be my guess too. Something low teens.
Right.
Yep. Good stuff. I like that question. All right. So this is not a question, but a comment from Dan, one of the owners of PIKKL. So we covered the PIKKL skins last year in our last year. I did it again. Last week in our spin experiment, and Dan jumped in and left a little knowledge bomb in the comment section. He writes, I thought I'd add a little commentary to the discussion here. The grit we use for Pro Skins is an abrasive particle that's shaped like a knuckle that's shaped like a knuckle. Sorry, abrasive particles that's shaped like a knuckle. Interesting. I need to look at it under a microscope. So spin is created with the sharp edges on each particle as it digs into the ball. He writes, continues, as you're finding, the roughness of our surface does not correlate to spin in the same way as other peel ply and sprayed on peel ply textures. Rather, the hardness of our particle along with the shape is what translates into ball spin. We're hoping that USAP will switch to their spin testing machine in 2026 so our Pro Skins will be approved for tournament play. So interesting. So we mentioned that, and a lot of people have said the same thing, like there's a PIKKL skin on this wooden paddle back here. If you feel the roughness of it, doesn't feel anywhere close to like a peel ply texture. And the grit on these new corals feels kind of smooth anyway because it's diamond grit but smoothed down. And this is
it's not very different.
Not very different, but it doesn't feel like an aggressive peel ply texture yet. It very much spins at elite levels, 2300 and above, right? So interesting. I should have gotten a picture under a microscope of what he means by the knuckle shaped texture on these. But it's the hard particles, hardness of the grit on this as well as the shape.
Wouldn't that also though be the case with like any grit? I mean, you're going to have kind of a sharpness to the exposed.
I wonder what he means by knuckle. I think maybe like a knuckle bone where like each bump is two peaks on the bump rather than just one. Like a ridge. Instead of a ridge, you have like two ridges in the saddle in between. Maybe that's what he means by it. So there's more sharpness / hardness, contact points, which there were forms of peel ply that were like that. Remember the original Legacy paddles had like a really fine peel ply texture that under a microscope kind of looked like they were doubling up on the texture, but it felt smoother to the touch. The issue with peel ply is that with that particular peel ply is that it wore down very quickly and you just lost your spin more quickly than the more aggressive ones, right? So we don't know the durability of these PIKKL skins yet.
Yeah, John, you really pulled that one out of the archive. Where's Legacy?
Who knows? No, they're still around.
Really?
I still see. I still see some old Legacy paddles on the court, and I think they're still. Aren't they like an Alabama company?
I don't know.
I think locally they still sell some paddles. All right, next one here. Timaku writes, for someone like Callum Dawson, does his center percussion not even exist since it would be off the face of the paddle? His pivot point is like 5 inches, plus a balance of 12 inches means 17 inches for the center percussion. All right, so this is Callum Dawson's grip. He has a ping pong grip. It chokes all the way up to the top of the handle. Right. And
is he like 2 fingers or is he a 1 finger?
I'm not sure, but it's the extreme version of choking up, right? And our discussion last week was the center percussion of the paddle moves up as you move your hand up. So where it feels good to hit on the paddle moves up. Now, clearly there's a limit to that, right? When you get to the top of the paddle, some physics come into play where you're now hitting like, I'd say probably 2 inches or closer to the edge guard. You're not getting the same trampoline effect. It's not going to feel good to hit up there. You're hitting pure EVA foam up there, and clearly if you're hitting the edge guard, it's not, or off the paddle, it doesn't work that way anymore, right? So there's a physical limitation to the center of percussion moving up, and maybe our friend Keith from Technical Pickleball can give us a little more insight into that particular phenomenon.
So just to review, John, if you're holding the paddle more or less at the base of the handle, or where you would clamp it for your various tests, your center of percussion is going to be like typically 4 inches down.
Exactly. Typically 4 inches down from the top of the paddle.
But if you're choking up for your dinks or whatever, that center of percussion is going to move up accordingly.
Yeah. Where it feels good to hit on the paddle is going to move up, which works great because you don't have to think about where you're hitting on the paddle anymore. You're just hitting the same distance from your hand each time. And people, the pros who are doing this are not, doing the calculations in their head. All right, I'm choking up 1 inch. I need to hit 1 inch higher on the paddle. It's just they know that they're hitting a certain distance from their hand. It's instinctual, and it feels the best to hit the paddle there.
That's a really, I think, important point of clarification because in my mind last week I was thinking, well, how am I going to do all that on the fly? Make those iterations when the ball is coming towards me. Yeah, that's too hard.
Last thing you want to do is like do math in your head while you're trying to hit a pickleball.
Exactly, but that makes sense what you just said.
Yeah,
but again, to choke up this far, your center of percussion, theoretically, according to last week's discussion, is going to be there,
up there, right? And clearly,
not happening.
There's the physical limitation to that. All right, the next one is Glenn Turnbull. Can you please do opal spin and surface durability testing? Absolutely, and as we mentioned earlier, a lot of people had the same question. Like they want to know what's the durability of the new Diamond Tough Grit from 6-0, and that will be in the works. I did receive a brand new opal, the new production model. I had some of the pre-productions that I brought back from China, and those had much more grit. And now that the grit has stabilized, we know what to expect. We've got the new corals. We can start doing the testing, so that will be coming. Are you maining the coral?
I am.
Pretty much. Your paddle of the year.
Yep.
POTY.
So you've got a new one unused, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we can do a bit of...
And that one looks brand new too. Your blue one?
Yes.
Okay. We can do a spin test on that and let you play to your heart's content.
Sounds good.
Although you're very fickle, Eddie. How long do you think this is going to be your main? How many weeks?
I think I don't know. I want to spend some time with the Ehance and the Volair.
Okay. So. Yeah. Well, just log hours on it. And after, we'll get a good sense after 20-something hours to compare to like the Lowe's Inferno and the Selkirk Boomstick. And
sounds good.
Yes, sir. All right. C. Madden writes, please review the lensless glasses. I think he's referring to the kitchen blockers. Mm-hmm. I also thought you were going to test safety glasses with the ballistic gel head.
We had a problem
and
with
the ball cannon. Well, turns out one of the gel heads got a flesh-eating bacteria. And I had to put him out of his misery.
Crumbled into nothingness.
Yeah. So it says so you ordered both of these and they come like wrapped in saran wrap, right? And it says do not remove saran wrap until you're ready to use. But I removed one so we could put it on a pod, and I just left it back in there. And Erica one day comes up to me. She's like, there's some really weird stuff growing on one of those heads. And I looked, and there was like mold spores all over it. So I took it up, and I washed it in the bathtub and stuck it on the bathtub. And the next day, my wife was like, what in the hell is that? Disembodied gel head. It's moldy and it's shrunken. It had like shrunken head. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have to pitch this. So the other one's still wrapped in saran wrap. We will do this experiment. However, is it exorbitantly expensive to rent a high-speed camera at 10,000 frames per second or more? So Chris Olsen has a buddy, apparently, who lets him borrow his high-speed camera. So occasionally, like twice a year, they'll borrow it and use it. But it's literally like, I've got quotes from like $1,500 to $2,000 per day to rent these cameras. So we need to like come up with a plan and really get all our ducks in a row and think of all the potentials we could use a high-speed camera and just dedicate a full day, 12 hours to this, because that's not cheap, right? So that's
all hands on deck.
That's the hindrance. That's why I haven't done this yet. But one day we will.
Have you tried the kitchen blockers though?
I have. Not a fan. I mean, I do love the fact that you can, you're not getting any ghosting or any kind of, hindrance through the lenses. So, but the lenses the frames are so bright, and they come up, so that at the bottom of your eye in case the ball hits to block the ball. Mm-hmm. And you can see the frames all through your peripheral vision. So not a huge fan of those.
That was my problem with them as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to see anything but what I would see without any glasses at all.
Yeah.
As much as possible.
True.
And for those in particular, I'm seeing the entire, 360 degrees of frame. Also, they don't fit my head very well.
Yeah.
I put them on, they weren't even touching my nose. So,
yeah, they're not that comfortable.
Yeah,
like going from all the frames we've been using to those, they kind of hurt my head. And the comments you get with those things on are relentless.
There's no way to make those look good.
All right, Eddie. Well, this was fun. We actually made
it,
I think, more than an hour. We had some limited material this week, but I hope you and your family have a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
We'll see you in 2026.
Good stuff.
For our, how many episodes did we say we were going to do? 12?
Three more. That works out to 100, doesn't it? Good stuff. Thanks, Eddie.
Yep.